Chapter 5. About halfway through the office party evening, I gave Bethany the tour. I showed her some of the projects we were working on and some of the technical drawings I was doing. She was really impressed. She loved the large drafting tables, and we had every colored pencil known to mankind. "This is like the school art room on steroids," Bethany exclaimed. "I never knew there were that many colors available." "If you think this is impressive, wait till you see the huge color printer plotter we have." I took Bethany to the next room and showed her a massive printer with a 6-foot printing head. We would use this printer when creating large finished concept displays for clients. When I showed Bethany my desk, she was really happy to see photos of her and me together. Bethany and I on the beach, with her holding up her engagement ring, Bethany in the snow making a snow angel last Christmas, and the newest one, Bethany as Mrs. Claus, getting a big group hug from her kindergarten class. As soon as we finished the tour, Bethany headed to the washroom. When she was in the furthest stall, she heard 2 women walk in and stop in front of the mirror. It was Hannah and Megan, both architects in training like me. Megan asked Hannah, "What do you think of Clinton's fiancée? What's her name?" "Bethany," Hannah replied. "She is drop-dead gorgeous. How are you going to compete with her?" Hannah chuckled. "Maybe not in the looks department, but I can hold my own. Clinton isn't married yet. There's still time. It only takes one kiss to start a fire, sunshine." "Does Clinton know how you're feeling?" "Not directly, but I know he can sense the vibes, if you know what I mean. I've been working with him for the past week, and he's really sweet and kind, like long-term marriage material kind." "How do you know that?" "Please, he's engaged to a simpleton kindergarten teacher, for God's sake. She probably wants babies, pink fluffy clouds, flower gardens, and stuff like that. And did you see the dress she was wearing? Like, who shows up at a work party with a dress like that? It screams mommy wannabe." "Yeah. She pulls it off in a cute sort of way, though. But I see your point." The women left the washroom, and Bethany exited the stall after they did. For the rest of the evening, Bethany stayed close to me and engaged in polite small talk. But I could tell something was bothering her. She didn't really open up at all. Sometimes she would be like that, but only when she felt intimidated or upset. I wasn't sure why she was holding back tonight. The car ride home was eerily silent, almost deafening. When we entered our apartment, she immediately went into the bathroom and said, "I'm changing for bed." That was it. No further conversation. I changed out of my suit and put on my favorite comfortable shorts and baggy t-shirt. Bethany exited the bathroom wearing her flannel pajamas. I was hoping we would be making love tonight, but that didn't seem likely now. I sat on the edge of the bed and waited. Bethany avoided eye contact with me and politely said, "Please move. I want to go to sleep." I moved, and Bethany slipped under the covers, turned her back to me, and rested her head on the pillow. I could tell she was crying quietly as she lay there. I'd obviously upset her in some way, but I had no idea what it was. I sat on the edge of the bed and gently rubbed her back. That irritated her, and she moved away saying, "No, don't touch me." After a few more minutes, I said, "Bethany, you need to help me out here. I have no clue why you're upset. Did I do something tonight? If I did, what was it?" She wiped away her tears as she lay there. After a few more minutes, she turned to face me and sat up. She pushed herself back and leaned against the wall to look at me. She asked, "Do you think I'm a simpleton?" "What? No. What made you think that?" "Your project partner, Hannah." "When did you begin working with her?" "About a week ago, but I still don't understand. Are you attracted to her?" "Bethany, no. What is this about?" Then a rare thing happened. Bethany raised her voice at me. "Damn you, Clinton. Why didn't you tell me about her? I work with women all the time. We're in a professional office. What does this have to do with anything?" Bethany burst into tears and yelled back, "It has everything to do with me. With us. Hannah wants an affair with you." Then she sarcastically stated, "She says she can feel the love vibes you give each other." "Well, I don't want an affair with her," I yelled back. "Where is all this coming from?" Bethany shook her head and said in angry tears, "Men are so stupid sometimes." "Please, Bethany, enlighten me. What am I missing? I still don't know what I did wrong." Bethany looked away and hugged her knees. Then she glanced back and started to explain what she overheard in the washroom. At that moment, all the pieces clicked into place and I understood why she was upset and angry. Did you think I was interested in her? I wasn't sure what to think. I am not into Hannah at all. She is a good architect and I respect her work, but that's it. Dial tone, nothing more. Then why did she say she's picking up vibes from you? I know you're not dumb, Clinton. You can tell when a woman is interested in you. Yeah, you're right. I can tell when a woman wants more than just a work-related chat. But I never intended for it to be like that. How did the conversation start then? What did you say to make her think you might be interested? That question trapped me. No matter how I answered, I would either have to downplay the conversation or tell her the truth. I chose honesty. Last Wednesday, she told me about her mom giving her a hard time about not having a serious boyfriend. I didn't say anything at first, but I know what can happen when moms give you a hard time. Her mom sounds like mine. Then I made the mistake of saying I understand what pressure from an intense mom can be, and I explained how tough it's been trying to break free from my own mom. Initially, I thought I was being helpful, but then I realized she was more into me than I first understood. I backed off then and didn't know what else to say. I think she believes that my sharing the mom story is a way of sending love vibes. I was just trying to be kind and understanding, nothing more. Bethany considered that for a couple of minutes, then asked me, "Why didn't you tell me about that? It could have helped me tonight." To me, it was a nothing conversation. I didn't think you would even care about stuff like that. There is no such thing as a nothing conversation, Clinton, and yes, I do care about things like that. That was a loaded comment. I replied, "You need to help me out on this, Bethany. I need to understand what you were thinking." She wiped her tears and stated, "My dad had an affair on my mom when I was 10 years old. It all started with a nothing conversation with a woman at his workplace, another engineer like him." That blew me away. That was the first time I had ever heard of that story. Bethany had never shared that before. "What happened?" I asked with concern. My dad was helping a colleague recover from a devastating marriage breakup. This woman's husband had walked out on her, and she was caught off guard and traumatized. She and my dad spent a lot of time together until one evening, it went too far. The affair lasted 6 weeks, and by its end, my dad's guilt nearly caused him to have a nervous breakdown. Up until that point, my mom was completely clueless. She had trusted him wholeheartedly. It crushed her and tore her heart apart when he confessed this to her. Craig and I were really upset, and we thought they were going to get a divorce. We went to counseling together as a family, and it helped a lot. My mom and dad also went to couples therapy as well. Your mom and dad seem to be emotionally close now. Am I to understand they were able to move past this? Yeah, they made it through, but I don't know if my mom can ever trust him completely again. She hides it well, but I can tell sometimes, especially if dad goes out in the evenings or stays late at work. I don't think he's cheated on her since, but there's still a lot of unspoken pain for my mom. Do you think that's what's happening to me? You haven't been unfaithful to me. I know that. But if we are going to last, these little conversations and innuendos can be really damaging if you're not careful. And what we have together is too special and too precious for me to just brush off. I won't stand idly by and let this happen. We can't keep taking our relationship for granted. We need to keep working at it and fiercely protect it. Otherwise, it could go too far with someone else, and everyone ends up with a broken heart. Does your dad still love your mom like he used to? I'm sure he does, and probably even more since then. But it didn't need to get to that point if they had been able to discuss things. I want us to talk things over. I want to know if you feel jealous when guys are hitting on me. Sometimes I feel jealous and insecure knowing that you work with girls like Hannah. I just assumed that Bethany was secure in her understanding of how much I loved her. It was a revelation to me that she could feel this kind of relational insecurity just like I could. I nodded. I finally understood and agreed with what she was trying to tell me. This is really helpful, Bethany. I don't want to do what your dad did to your mom. Losing you would be the most devastating thing in my life. I don't even know if I could go on if that ever happened. Me too, baby. I couldn't go on if I lost you too. It would be too hard. She started crying again and moved closer to me, wrapping her arms around me as she wept. "I love you so much, Clinton. Sometimes I get overprotective and jealous if I think someone is trying to take you away. But baby, please understand, it comes from a good place in my heart. I don't want either of us to go through the pain my mom went through." Listening to Bethany not only protected my marriage with her, but later, when I married Estelle, that same advice proved true years later. I've been subtly approached a few times in my life, but I shut them down as quickly as they appeared, thanks in large part to understanding that there is no such thing as a nothing conversation. The heart needs to be guarded most during these times. Over the next few months, wedding planning accelerated. During a few weekends before the wedding, Bethany's mom stayed with us and helped with invitations, meal planning, flower orders, and Bethany's wedding dress. I've always enjoyed being around Sandy, but it's a bit challenging in a 500 square foot apartment. I always made sure she and Bethany slept on the bed, while I crashed on the hard floor on the world's thinnest camping mattress. It usually dampened Bethany and my sex life when she stayed with us, but in hindsight, it was totally worth it. Bethany planned our wedding to perfection. I now realize that it's the little details and how she did things that made that day so incredibly special. That was also when I asked my brother Wyatt to be my best man. He was flabbergasted and felt it was a huge honor. I also asked Albert and Bethany's brother, Craig, to be groomsmen. Bethany was a bit uneasy about Albert, but she understood my reasoning. Bethany asked Craig's wife, Anna, to be her maid of honor. At that point, she was 7 months pregnant. She also invited Carol and Anita, a fellow teacher of Bethany's, to be bridesmaids. Carol and Anita were also between 6 and 8 months pregnant, making the wedding photos quite funny. They all had to order matching stretchy dresses, but still managed to make them fit well, showcasing their adorable baby bumps. 2 nights before the wedding, Wyatt had organized a bachelor party for me. Bethany made Wyatt swear on the Bible to keep me out of trouble and away from the influences of Albert. He planned a mild poker night for the guys, which I was ecstatic about. This meant harmless fun and a chance to honestly unwind and not worry about someone doing something stupid. Wyatt did an awesome job looking after me. Albert, on the other hand, was really bummed out at what he called the lamest bachelor party ever. He started teasing me about being pussy whipped and kept trying to tell me that if he hired a couple of friendly ladies, Bethany wouldn't find out. All the guys at the party were either married or had serious partners whom they didn't want to mess around on. We outvoted Albert 8-1. Albert called an escort agency anyway, so Wyatt purposely gave Albert the wrong address to send them to. Albert waited 3 hours, but they never showed up. We all played poker, drank beer, and had a good laugh as he patiently waited for girls that were never going to materialize. He finally got frustrated and left for the night. What was even funnier was that he was billed $1,500 on his credit card for the screw-up of the address. To this day, Albert never figured out what went wrong that night. Bethany's stagette was a bit livelier. The 3 pregnant women wore T-shirts that all said "Soccer Star on Board." They gave Bethany a shirt that said "Soccer Mom in Training" and made her wear a tiara attached to a white veil that hung down behind her head. They drove all through Seattle with a video camera and asked many different women to give Bethany advice on how to become the perfect soccer mom. The whole thing was super funny. I came across that recording in a box of Bethany's keepsakes 2 years after Estelle and I were married. I'd never really watched it all the way through before, but Estelle thought it would be good for me. At first, it was hard to watch and not bawl. I missed her so much. Bethany looked amazing in the video, and it brought me right back to that time in our lives. Now I've seen it a couple of times, and I am glad I have this memory of her frozen in time. It is now my most treasured and sacred item. I have since converted it to digital format in case the tape ever wears out. It's funny. Even though Bethany and I had lived together for nearly 5 years, I was a nervous wreck on our wedding day. I even wondered at one point if she was going to chicken out and not go through with it. But as I stood at the front in my black tuxedo and watched the wedding procession begin with little flower girls dropping rose petals down the aisle, it once again became a magical moment in our lives. As the bridesmaids and maid of honor walked down the aisle, everyone chuckled as one pregnant woman after another made her way down. Then the most beautiful woman this world has ever seen appeared with her father at the back of the church. To say she was radiant and glowing is a huge understatement. She was enchanted. She was a goddess with all her elegant splendor fully on display for everyone to see. And she smiled at me as she walked towards me. I heard a few people gasp as they watched her slowly process down the aisle. I had never seen Bethany look so breathtakingly beautiful as I saw that day. Her dress was elegantly stunning, low-cut and curves accentuated. She held a bouquet of red roses in her hands. I can't even do justice in describing her appearance or how I felt watching her walk down the aisle towards me that day. All I can say is she kept her eyes on me the entire time. We both started to cry. When she reached me, she handed me a single red rose and mouthed the words, "I love you." I still have that red rose pressed into our wedding photo album. When it was time for our vows, Bethany went first. She said, "Clinton, Alexander, Hamilton, you are my forever best friend, soulmate, and confidant. You are my lover and you are my comforter. I vow to stay faithful to you forever. You know my weaknesses and my fears. You know what makes me laugh and what makes me love. Around you, I can be vulnerable and know that I am safe in your arms, in your heart, and in your soul. I will love you with the deepest love a woman can possibly give for all the days of our lives together. If death separates us, then I promise even then to wait for you, and I ask you to wait for me. Today, I am proud and honored to become your wife. I love you with everything I am." For my vows, I told Bethany, "Bethany Louise, today you have made me the happiest man on earth. Today I vow to stay faithful to you forever, to love you through the good days and the bad days, to rejoice with you and cry with you. I promise to protect your heart at all costs. I vow to walk with you every step of the way. And when we have children, I promise to be a good and loving father. I promise to be patient, long-suffering, and nurturing. If you face sickness, I promise to stay by your side, holding and comforting you. If we achieve material success, I promise never to let go of what has truly made us Bethany and Clinton. I vow to remain humble and kind to you forever. I love you, Bethany Louise, more than words can ever express." We were both crying by the end of our vows, and when the preacher pronounced us husband and wife, Bethany delivered the biggest, most passionate kiss of my life and didn't let go for a long time. She said after the kiss, "I am making sure everyone knows you are mine forever." Everyone in the church cheered and whistled. I had to pinch myself. Bethany had just become Mrs. Bethany Louise Hamilton. At the reception dinner and before the dance started, we listened to speeches from the best man and the maid of honor. Wyatt went first. He said, "When Clinton first brought Bethany home to meet us, I remember thinking, 'Well done, little brother.' Bethany was and still is this adorable, angelic, and insanely teasing, playful woman. I remember hoping she wouldn't break Clinton's heart. At that time, she seemed too good and too beautiful to be true. But I soon realized Bethany was so much deeper, kinder, and wiser than any of us had imagined. My entire family fell in love with Bethany. Then we fell in love with Bethany and Clinton together. We have watched them grow as an inspiring couple, and they have set a very high standard for demonstrating how incredible unconditional love can be. I am not only sure they will stay together forever, but I'm also willing to bet that their legacy of love and faithfulness will inspire future generations. Here's to my brother Clinton and his very lovely wife Bethany. Throughout the dinner and speeches, people would periodically clink their glasses with utensils to coax us into kissing. Bethany and I always loved kissing and could find any excuse to do so at any time in our relationship. Then it was Anna's turn to give her bridesmaid speech. She said in her Russian accent, "To me, Bethany will always be my lovely and sweet little sister. I first met her when she was 14 and I was 17. I had just met and fallen in love with her older brother Craig. My first impression of her was that she could be a big tease. She drove Craig insane with her constant teasing and practical jokes. One time she crazy glued Craig's sneakers to the floor of his room, then painted the words "Bethany rules the planet" on the steering wheel of Craig's truck with blue nail polish. When Craig sold the truck, her mark was still there. Anna then looked over at me and said, "Clinton, when Bethany first saw you after she spilled pop all over your now ex-girlfriend, I remember saying to Craig, 'I think this one's special.' Both Craig and I could tell that she had fallen for you in a big way. She talked non-stop after you walked her back to our dorm room on that fateful day. Bethany came in and said, 'I think I've just found the man I want to marry and spend the rest of my life with.' Bethany has always dreamed of a fairy tale romance, wedding, and life. And Clinton, in our eyes, there is no one more suited to her than you. I ask you to look after her, love her always, and know that she is the sweetest, most kind-hearted, and faithful woman you could ever meet. I love you both." Anna then held up her glass of sparkling water and said, "Here's to the most beautiful bride, my amazing sister Bethany. At nearly every wedding, there's that one person you wish you had never invited. That was my oldest brother, Albert. At first, he was kind of funny when he started to get drunk, but then he became mean. It was as if my mom's spirit was speaking through his voice. Bethany and I took a break from dancing, sitting together, enjoying our day and watching everyone have a good time. Albert dragged his chair over and sat across from us. He was drunk. He looked at Bethany and said in his drunken, slurred voice, "You are the fricking hottest girl I have ever seen. When I first saw you, I thought to myself, frick, I wish Cindy looked like you. Like, don't get me wrong, Beth. Cindy was okay in her day, but next to you, she looks like crap. Do you know what I mean? It's okay if I call you Beth, right? Because to me, you're a Beth, not Bethany. Bethany is too frilly. Beth sounds sexier, and you look fricking sexy tonight." Bethany responded with an angry and irritated look on her face. "I prefer Bethany. That is the name my parents gave me, and Cindy is a lovely woman. I still think she is beautiful today." Albert started wagging his finger at Bethany. "You know, I thought you would say something like that. I think deep inside about that bloody hot body of yours, I believe you're too good for our family." Albert looked over at me and puffed his foul, alcohol-laden breath as he said, "Ride her hard while you can, little brother, because she isn't sticking around like she says she is. Some other lucky bastard will get lucky with her, and one day she just won't come home." I was angry with Albert. My first thought was to punch him out for saying those things, but Bethany could sense my anger and placed her hand on mine. She looked at Albert and said, "Please go. I don't want you ruining our special day. I don't want to talk to you anymore." We both got up and started to walk away. Albert tried to stand up and nearly fell over as he staggered. He yelled towards Bethany, "You are not better than me. You are a fricking stuck-up bitch." That got everyone's attention, and they all stopped and watched as Albert staggered and spat out his verbal filth. I was about to go back and knock Albert to the ground for insulting Bethany like that, but once again she faced me and gently placed her hand on my chest and said, "I want to dance with my husband right now. Let Wyatt and Floyd take care of Albert. He can't hurt us today." I smiled and nodded as my anger nearly vanished, and I whispered, "You got it, Cherry Cola. Anything for you." Bethany took my hand, and as the next song, "You're Still the One" by Shania Twain began, everyone cleared the dance floor to let us slowly dance and gaze into each other's eyes. In that moment, Bethany had led me back into her magical and beautiful world. "Did you plan this song for right now?" I asked as I gazed at Bethany. She nodded, "Yes, and the next one too." I began to laugh when the next song was Faith Hill's "This Kiss." Bethany wrapped her arms around my neck and kissed me repeatedly throughout the song. Once again, it was a magical moment on a magical day. We recorded all of that on the wedding video and removed the part where Albert was being an arse. We didn't want any memory of him trying to ruin our special day. On our 10th wedding anniversary, Bethany sang that Shania Twain song, "You're Still the One," to me in front of our friends, family, and our little 3-year-old son, Joshua. It was 4 months before we found out she had cancer and 6 months before she passed away. It took me years to find the courage to watch that video. To this day, if I hear that song on the radio, it makes me miss Bethany so much. I can handle the pain much better now, but she will always be singing that song to me in my heart. My daughter Maria sat with me as I decided to watch a few of Bethany's in my videos. I was a little worried, wondering if she would understand why I could be so in love with a woman who wasn't her mother. Maria was incredible. She cuddled me as I watched the videos, tears streaming down my face. Maria said, "Daddy, Bethany was beautiful and kind-hearted just like you are to Mama and me. I know that's why you loved her like that, just like you love Mama." Maria has a Hispanic appearance, just like her beautiful mother. So outwardly she looks quite different from how Bethany did, but inwardly she reminds me of Bethany's soul, even though they aren't related and have never met. Maybe my and Bethany's souls were similar, and Maria got hers from me. And maybe that's why Maria's soul reminds me so much of Bethany's. Bethany truly was my soulmate. Maria wouldn't have been born if Bethany hadn't passed away, so I also have mixed emotions about it. I can't imagine my life now without Maria, Carlos, and Estelle. I've been with Estelle longer than I knew Bethany in this earthly realm, and I love her deeply. But it's different in a good way, yet still different. Estelle is truly herself, and sometimes she can be quite feisty and passionate. She can't keep her inside voice contained for very long if she's frustrated or angry. She's so different from Bethany in that regard, and I love her completely because of it. Yet she also loves with abandon and has the most forgiving heart I have ever seen. It feels like I've lived in two different yet parallel worlds. Bethany and I went to Hawaii for our honeymoon and had an amazing time. We explored the popular sites, swam with turtles, and shared a romantic moment at sunset on a deserted sandy beach beneath a palm tree. We savored the happiness of our new life together, lost in our own little world. When we returned home, we moved into a much nicer condo. We had just enough money left over for the down payment, and we barely made the mortgage payments each month for the first couple of years, but we loved the place. It was in a better part of the city, and we had 2 bedrooms with a large balcony that overlooked the city. It was an amazing sight, especially after dark. We wanted to start a family. Getting pregnant was easy for us, but staying pregnant proved difficult. Bethany experienced 5 miscarriages before she could carry Joshua to full term. It was a time filled with exciting highs and heartbreaking lows. We only truly felt we could celebrate when she reached the 16th week of her pregnancy with Joshua. Until then, we had endured 5 consecutive devastating losses. I remember when Bethany arrived at work 2 years after we were married with a surprise lunch for me. She was glowing. Even people around the office commented on how happy and radiant she appeared. It was the start of summer, and we went out onto the large open sun deck just off the lunchroom. It was a bright, sunny day, and we were the only ones out there. We were standing by the railing, enjoying the view and the warmth of the summer sun, when Bethany looked at me with a sparkle in her eyes and said, "I'm pregnant. You are going to be a daddy." I looked at her, smiled, and started laughing. I nodded my head as the euphoria of this very personal moment washed over both of us. I was going to be a father. Bethany was beyond happy. Every ounce of her body radiated excitement. I picked her up a few inches off the ground, spun her around in my arms, kissed her, and we embraced for a long time. The emotions overwhelmed me, and I started to cry. What if I'm not good enough to be a father? I'm barely figuring out how to be a good husband. Bethany led me to a patio table, and we sat down in a couple of chairs. She took my hands and looked me straight in the eyes. "You are going to be an amazing daddy. Your heart is soft and pure. Your kindness pours out of you all the time. And as for being a husband," Bethany teased, "don't let this go to your head. But you are perfect. There's no part of you that I want to see change at all." I looked at Bethany's smiling, radiant face and replied, "Just when I think I can't possibly fall in love with you anymore, you take me deeper into your heart and soul. I wish you could see inside my mind and feel everything I am feeling for you and our new little baby." Bethany placed her hand on my chest over my heart and said, Baby, your soul is overflowing with love. I can feel it. I can see it. She leaned into me, gave me a big kiss, and then laughed. You need to kiss your baby too? We both stood up, and I knelt to kiss her tummy and said, Hey there, little baby, I'm your daddy. We are going to have so many adventures together. I can't wait to teach you how to play baseball, go camping, and get into lots of trouble with Mommy because we are both being too noisy. I can't wait to meet you. I stood back up to see Bethany in tears, yet she smiled, wrapped her arms around my neck, and held me close. She gently caressed the back of my head as we embraced. I could smell her soft perfume, and the tender touch of her fingertips sent wave after wave of love through my entire body. Bethany looked me in the eyes and whispered, God, I love you so much. Sometimes I can't believe how lucky I am. She smiled and continued, On the first day I ever saw you, I imagined this moment with you, and reality is so much better than anything I have ever dreamed about. We sat for a long time enjoying the afterglow of the moment. Before leaving, Bethany went to use the washroom. As she was washing her hands, Hannah Lynn's walked in, and the two women eyed each other in the mirror. Hannah looked at Bethany and said, You are ruining your husband's career. You do know that, right? I have no idea what you are talking about, Bethany replied. He refuses to work on projects with me at all. Every time they assign us together, he asks for a different partner. At first, I couldn't figure out why, but then I realized that you must have said something to him. You are threatened by me, afraid I'll take away your lovely man and leave you crying and begging for him to come back. I'm not threatened by you at all. I have nothing to be afraid of. Hannah sniffed loudly. Yeah, right. I just watched you both on the sun deck. You told him you were pregnant, didn't you? That will freak a man out more than anything. They hate the thought of being tied down, and you just gave him the biggest reason to walk away from you. Bethany gave Hannah a knowing smile. Some men love soccer moms, and I know Clinton's heart better than anyone alive. I'm sorry that your ex-boyfriend left you when you told him you were pregnant. That must have been a painful, heartbreaking experience for you. Hannah shook her head and replied somberly, What would you ever know about heartbreak? I've known girls like you. All your life, you've had men falling all over themselves just to be near you. You've never had to endure a painful breakup or hear your boyfriend say that he has found a woman he connects with so well. And she isn't you. I'll even bet that you probably stole your boyfriend from his last girlfriend. I'll bet he gave her that "I found my soulmate" speech and made her feel so special. He's now having the time of his life with his true soulmate while she is trying to decide the most painless way to die, to bury the hurt that is crushing her world and making it hard to breathe. Bethany replied softly, I hope you find your true soulmate, Hannah. I really do. Just know that it isn't going to be Clinton. He has already given me his heart and soul, and I won't ever be giving it back. She turned and walked out of the washroom. I was standing beside the large plotter printer waiting for my project drawings to finish printing when Hannah approached me. I talked to Wifey today in the washroom. I hear congratulations are in order. I was surprised Hannah knew about that. Bethany and I had decided to wait until a few weeks before telling anyone about her pregnancy. She told you that? No, not really, but she didn't deny it either. I saw you both on the sun deck and I asked her about it in the washroom. Hannah paused. Look, I'm sorry I tried to steal you away from her. I now realize that was futile and foolish of me. Can we at least be friends? I like working on projects with you. We make a good team. Something inside my head was screaming warning signals. I could tell that Hannah was still playing games. This gentle friendship request almost felt ominous. I am willing to work with you under one condition. We don't talk about anything personal. It is work-related only. We are not friends. We are respectful colleagues. I don't want you buying me coffees or bringing me a surprise lunch. I don't want to know about your family or your dates or anything personal. That is off limits. Can you live with that? Wifey really has your balls in her grip, eh? Well, it don't work that way, so I guess you lose. Good luck trying to advance your career. She will keep you well below your potential. Maybe, but I'm glad I get to stay there with her. My personal world is perfect right now, and you are not part of it." Hannah angrily flicked her middle finger at me and said, "I hope your baby looks like a freak." On July 4th, we decided to visit my parents' place. It had been 2 years since our last visit. They did not attend my wedding, but they did send us a lovely assortment of red and white wine. Neither of us knew what to expect, but we thought we'd try again to reconnect with them. We hoped to bury the hatchet with my mom and focus on moving forward. When we arrived, we could tell that the rest of the family was already there. Everyone was at the back of the house, sitting around the swimming pool. My family cheered when they saw us. Carol and Floyd were busy watching their 2-year-old son, Nathaniel. Wyatt and Geraldine were chatting with Dad, and Albert was talking with Mom, along with another woman I didn't recognize. The woman with Albert seemed odd. She appeared to be in her mid-30s, but was dressed in flowing black clothes. She had black painted nails and dark makeup, including black lipstick. Her hair looked like it had been artificially dyed black, and she did not seem friendly at all. Albert stood up to introduce us to her as we approached them. "Hey, Clinton, Bethany, this is Devlin Zorn. Devlin, my youngest brother Clinton, and his wife Bethany." I reached out to shake Devlin's hand, but she stepped back and said, "I don't shake hands. I read auras to see if we are compatible." Then she looked at Bethany and added, "You are with child. I can feel it from here." Okay, that was weird. This strange woman literally only spent a few moments in our presence and had figured out that Bethany was pregnant. Bethany and I exchanged a surprised look. Devlin was creepy. Bethany nicknamed her Morticia. Mom gave Bethany a disapproving look. "You're pregnant? You and Clinton can't afford to raise a child. Why did you go do something as foolish as that? I thought you were a little smarter than that." Bethany raised her eyebrows, sniffed, and shook her head. "Clinton and I are excited to be expecting. We planned this baby." Devlin looked at Bethany and said, "I want to read your baby's aura. It will tell me if your baby is going to have a good life or be doomed to failure and premature death." Bethany and I were horrified at Devlin's request. "No, I don't want you anywhere near me or my baby," Bethany snapped back. I looked at Mom and said, "I thought you would be happy about the news of our baby. This will be grandchild number 2 for you." "Why would I want another grandchild?" Mom replied. "I already have Nathaniel. I don't need another one. And I certainly don't want to waste my time on some child that is inferior to being a true Hamilton." Bethany turned and began to walk away, upset and unwilling to talk to anyone afterward. I looked at Mom and said, "Why are you such an asshole? I don't get it." "Pardon me," Mom growled back. Albert jumped in. "Clinton, you owe Mom a huge apology." I laughed at Albert. "You are her alcoholic puppet, Albert. You apologize for me." I turned and stormed off to catch up with Bethany. I saw Bethany sitting on a bench overlooking rolling meadows. All 8 horses were out in the pasture, grazing on the early summer grass. "This is a beautiful scene," Bethany said as I sat down beside her on the bench. "I love watching the horses when they are in the meadow like this." "Bethany, I'm sorry my mom is such an asshole. I don't know how else to describe her. It's like the second she has any new information on us or on you, she does her best to attack you with it." Bethany shrugged. "I don't want to introduce our baby to your mother at all when it's born. I want our baby to grow up, only knowing love and encouragement, okay?" I nodded. "Deal, Cherry Cola. Our baby is too precious to let Mom be involved in its life at all." Bethany smiled, took my hand, and held it in her lap with both of hers. "My gosh, Clinton. How did you ever turn out so amazing when you were raised by a woman like that?" I believe I owe much of my upbringing to Carol. She was way more of a mother to me than Mom was. Carol always looked out for me. Once Mom was angry at me and threw all my clothes out my bedroom window onto the lawn during a heavy rainstorm. I also had a model of the Star Wars Millennium Falcon that I had built, and she threw that out the window too, smashing it all over the sidewalk below. Mom was upset that my room was messy and wanted to teach me a lesson. "Baby, how old were you when she did that?" I shrugged. "Maybe 8 or 9. Mom terrified me when she got into those kinds of moods. I couldn't do anything right. After I brought all my clothes in and tried to salvage the model, I cleaned my room and then went to show Mom. She didn't want to see it. She told me that I had already wasted my chance with her and it wasn't worth her effort to see a second-rate cleaning job from a second-rate son. She then said her biggest regret was not aborting me when she found out she was pregnant with me. Bethany was now looking directly at me with a look of deep sadness and concern. She said that to you, baby? I nodded. Yeah, it kind of sucked. Bethany started to cry. Oh my gosh, Clinton, hearing this is breaking my heart for you. She slid right beside me and embraced me as she stroked the back of my head and softly said, Baby, know that you are loved. Know that to me you are the very best a man can be. I want to hug and cuddle you to make up for all the times your mom should have been nurturing you. Bethany looked me in the eyes and said, Our baby is going to be loved, cuddled, and spoiled. I won't care about a messy room or that they seem less than perfect to someone else. To me, to us, our baby is going to be perfect no matter how they turn out to be. I replied, Bethany, on the very first day you and I met, I could tell that your soft, gentle soul was incredible. I fell in love with that first. The fact that you are as beautiful as you are was just a bonus. I am in love with your soul even more now. Bethany gave me a gentle kiss and replied, You're going to be such a good daddy. I can't wait to watch you play with our child. I dream of that day. It's kind of a mommy, wifey thing, tender and alluring all at the same time.